The Mark quartile wants to do Mark type stuff, but it doesn't sit well with pyramid control. A pastor desires to see all the things he preaches, but he or she is stepping on the mouse's tail. It's understood that any evangelism brings people under him or her as a pastor. The pastor of the poor guy is not third level, never went into the ground and died like grain, never became like a child, so can't even see kingdom. He sees his church. The kingdom is different from every church on earth. Well, how do we know that? Well, revival. The kingdom is an atmosphere and place of revival. There is no revival in normal churches, is there? There was in the first church. It's continuous. How about that? Apart from cult distorted church, there are three current types, none remotely like the first one in Jerusalem. One, the non-born again high ecclesiastical church or cathedral or whatever, down to the tin rattling do-gooder church of non-born again Mark quartile types. The thing is with them is they look Christian. My first ever meeting, ever, as a born-again person in a renewed Baptist church in Amersham Old Town. I was staggered. I couldn't believe my eyes. The pastor just made a simple announcement while everybody was still present. They hadn't left for the Sunday school. And he just said, mostly it was ladies who were doing the Sunday school, could you ask the Holy Spirit if he wants you to carry on doing the children's work? I've never seen an explosion like it. I mean, perhaps not within the decorum of the meeting. Well, I think some people left, but, oh boy, the repercussions. He had trodden on this very thing. Mark quartile, helpy type people, they look born again. They come out of their mum's womb with this cherub thing. It's one of the living faces, this cherub quartile. Like Sam Ganges. I mean, just marvellous people. What do they need to be saved for? Why do they need to be born again? Anyway, it fools a lot of people. So get thinking, some of these people might not make it to heaven. So, the evangelical born-again church, still locked in their left brain, with a high quotient of Luke-type word teacher up and down a nation, who never ever leave the control spirit aspect of Genesis 3. One rabbi synagogue. 3. The charismatic signs and wonders rabbi synagogue with worship band, who often builds a family dynasty to continue the legacy. Kingdom is not pyramid. It's not one person. It's based in Zoe life from above. It is non-presentation. It is firmly, Psalm 123, looking unto the Master. Leaders brought forth, as Psalm 84 indicates, until they are revealed, this should read, before God in Zion. The key principles of the first church are like the Leviticus 23, 4 woods roof with holes. The first 12 disciples or apostles were totally different personalities. The 4 main human frequencies scanned across populations are Matthew types, Mark types, Luke types, John types. Galatians 5 says the work of the flesh default a party spirit and schisms, Republicans and Democrats, all this kind of stuff. Rich and poor, clever and practically orientated. All these designations, which they're pyramid designations. So 1 Corinthians 12:14-26 says division is according to world systems, world system ideas of capability. One set think too highly of themselves, the other set have low self-esteem, usually because the lying control pyramid has told them they have low status. If second level churches had pressed on by now, and some like South Chard, the Don Francisco Sunday Chainsaw of the Pulpit Church, did press on, they start to resemble churches that form people in Zoe, heavenly life, people with a pure heart that can see God. If we can see God together, we start to have an order of Melchizedek priesthood, into which every born-again, baptized in the Spirit of the fire child of God enters anyway. It's like they're born free, and then they learn chains. 1 Corinthians 12 type church with the three diverses. A, everybody. B, all ministries at different times, whoever the Holy Spirit leads, or in bunches of. C, direct Spirit operations, like that Passion Conference thing. I mean, that was a kind of mild, but it was a very large meeting, so it was pretty impressive. That's the Passion Conference section from last year, 2024, and on YouTube it's called That Moment. So where were we? Yeah. So 1 Corinthians type church is getting people to use these three diverses, and it trains believers towards elder and missionary group function. The bare minimum of kingdom is 2, and the Acts missionary groups seem to be 2s and bunches. The Lord knows who are his, and they depart from iniquity. The Holy Spirit convicts us of sin, righteousness, and judgment. Revelation 12:1, the face of the woman shines like the sun because of a Romans 6-8 identification process. Because they've gone into the ground. They don't dwell alone, but find each other across an unheard of 4 woods, crown of 12 stars, co-ministry. It's as unheard of when it first appeared in Acts 2 as it is today, isn't it? We, as I've said repeatedly, that the only glimmer we get, well, obviously revivals, which are very rare, but are in conferences. All presentation fig leaves and Genesis 3 duality belief that we can be separate from God in that moon reflection lie is under our feet. So I don't know if you gathered it. These are sequences I'm reading out to you. They're sequences in short verses, but they're like these enormous summaries. 1 John 2 is an enormous summary. Child, young man, father stage. They're bigger than they think. It's like stepping into a TARDIS. They just look like a little verse, but actually they represent huge portions of human history and huge portions of our life. The aspect of the holiest place, the acacia box, Galatians 2:20 walk through wood graininess, humanity. Acacia is an extremely grainy wood, or a field of mud to get the treasure. And the covered presence, so that on one side is representing the acacia box mercy seat. We always thought we came to, or it was the thing you came to religiously, but no, that's what Jesus was modelling. That is what Jesus was modelling. So we got that natural side of things, and we got the Chavod presence and signs and wonders and all the heavenly courts aspects currently opening up. We're as far from an Egyptian pharaoh king pastor cult as the Holy Spirit can lead. Acts Jerusalem Church preached kingdom, and after the highs and lows of 42 months with Jesus, City on a Hill had early features of the Ephesians 1:10 administration God is bringing forth as a cloud the size of a man's hand. For me, I discern, and I think Bill Bryson, had he known stuff more spiritually, would have seen that that's what he was discerning and angering him in Chalfont St Giles. The fact that there's two little plaques and no other even sort of vague hint that huge continent, or at least some of the main great American experiment aspects of it, came out of this little village. They're clueless. They have no idea to this day. They just think, oh, these strange bunch of people left on the Mayflower. Of course, there are many other people on that Mayflower. But this is the ignorance of flesh. Whereas Bill Bryson, at least, although not a Christian, understood his spirit was ringing out, thinking, this isn't right. This is nuts. And he's right. So we have these clouds the size of a man's hand of this Ephesians 1:10 administration. But no, in and among God's ecclesia, not one person pastorasia, marks don't have to form separate parachurch functions. They can freely operate. The Stephens can arrange mercy ministry and the Phillips can evangelize. There's no one Pharaoh stepping on mouse tails.